Almost 6 years ago, Nicrovito would be the first person to beat Mario Odyssey in under an hour. This is easily one of speedrunning's greatest achievements, with the run itself being recognized and appreciated by millions of people. But ever since 2019, a minute barrier that was once considered to be barely possible has now been shredded to pieces. 6 months after sub hour, we achieved 58. The year after that, we achieved 57. 2 years after that, we achieved 56. In the start off 2025, we have achieved what might possibly be the last minute barrier.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! It's dude! Oh my god!
Now before we get into the video, I have a word from today's sponsor, which is from people not knowing what the hell they are talking about. I already know ToadLover75 is going to comment on this video saying that beating Super Mario Odyssey in under 55 minutes is actually possible, and that this video is clickbait, and that I should just delete my entire channel and never make another video. Okay, now that bit was really stupid, but there is some truth in the fact that there is never really a final barrier when it comes to speedrunning. With that being said, 55 might just be the final minute barrier we see for a very long time, and this video will explain both why that is, alongside how this monumental time was even achieved in the first place. So without further ado, let's travel all the way back in time to when the first ever 56 was achieved. It's important to understand that Mario Odyssey is primarily a movement-based speedrun, meaning that most of this game's optimizations come from refining Mario's movement. This in itself is a never-ending process, and it is the reason as to why other 3D Mario games see so much activity, even if discoveries become stagnant for a while. This is the biggest reason as to why the world record has dropped so much since sub hour, because all of these small time saves begin to add up very quickly over the course of an hour-long run. Movement optimization can be as simple as doing a faster spin pound or a faster dive, but there are plenty of instances where it is more complicated than this. For example, when you have to climb up this ramp, you can either do a jump followed by a wall jump to make it up, or you can do this triple jump and skip the wall jump entirely. The first strat is infinitely easier, and you only lose out on about a second for not doing the triple jump, which in itself is not that much, but when you then consider the fact that there are dozens of similar instances, some instances being much more drastic or difficult than the example I just presented, then it almost becomes obvious as to how we are able to just constantly lower what's possible in this game. Most speedruns can either be categorized as movement heavy or trick heavy, but Odyssey very quickly became both. By the time Nicro had achieved the first sub hour, there were a plethora of big tricks that top players had already implemented. In the Cascade Kingdom, you could skip the first moon entirely. In Sand Kingdom, you could clip straight through this wall to gain access to this moon. In Lake Kingdom, you could clip through this wall, up throw to collect this checkpoint, get this treasure chest moon, and then warp to the checkpoint to get this moon. In Wooded Kingdom, you can push yourself out of bounds using this moon, which then allows you to get these two moons. In Metro Kingdom, you are able to clip the scooter into this cage moon by tilting the controller sideways, which then extends your hitbox just enough to make this trick possible. In Snow Kingdom, you can do this tight jump to gain access to the painting moon early. In Seaside Kingdom, you can clip the fish out of bounds and collect these two moons. In Luncheon Kingdom, you can use this turn up to clip a Panbro through the barrier. In Bowser's Kingdom, you are able to complete the entire Mecha Brutal boss fight without using a single Pokio, and in Moon Kingdom, you are able to skip the cave section entirely by doing this jump. If Nicro messed up any of the tricks I just mentioned, then he would have not gotten sub hour. In fact, Nicro's biggest and most noticeable time losses were here in the Wooded Kingdom. He lost 3 seconds in this section and 5 seconds in this section. Other than those 2 time losses, which add up to 8 seconds, the run was just about as good as it gets given the knowledge people had at the time. But after sub hour, things would begin to quickly change, and it all started with Nintendo releasing version 1.3 of Odyssey. Up until this moment, every top player would do their runs on 1.0. This was because First Moon Skip, Sphinx Clip, and Turnip Clip were all patched in subsequent versions of the game, but since Nintendo had gone out of their way to make loading times faster in 1.3, it was now the fastest version to run the game on by almost 10 seconds. This big change was then followed up by a route change in Sand Kingdom. If you set your clock to 1:53 AM on daylight savings before starting the run, it'll be 1:59 AM by the time you reach Sand. If you then plant the seed at 1:59 AM, it'll only take about 20 seconds to grow as opposed to 20 minutes, since the clock will go from 1:59 AM to 3 AM, tricking the game into thinking an hour has passed by and allowing for you to instantaneously grow the seed. So with both this new sand route alongside the 1.3 time save, players were able to lower the world record all the way down to a mid 59. From this point in time all the way until Tyrone's first 56, only 5 tricks were added into the run: Dinosaur Skip Skip or DSS, Platform Clip, Fish Dip, Sarbomba, and 2D section Skip Skip. If you add up all of the time save these tricks accumulate, we're looking at about 30-ish seconds of time save, which means that the other 2.5 minutes of time save came from less mistakes, more movement optimizations, and moon reroutes. Tyrone's 56-55 was easily one of the most monumental speedruns this game has ever seen. He pushed the game to limits that no one even thought were possible just a year prior, and he did it not through some big discovery, but by putting blood, sweat, and tears into getting every single second of time save he could. But in the year following Tyrone's 56-55, Mario Odyssey would see a revolution. It's important to understand that while this game's movement will always have room for optimization, there comes a point where these optimizations start to plateau, and that point was May 26th of 2022, when Tyrone got the first 56. If you compare the first 10 minutes of the first 56 to the first 55, the run is almost identical, with the exception of this small strategy change in Cap Kingdom, and that is just because there comes a point in every speed game where people genuinely just get too good. Good to the point where spending months shaving off a mere few seconds does not seem worth it. And so for the rest of 2022, Tyrone's world record remained. But at the beginning of 2023, the quest for 55 would begin. There's one trick that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and this trick would be none other than the infamous moon clip. Discovered all the way back in 2018, 3 moon clips were quickly added into the route. 1 moon clip in Cascade Kingdom, 1 moon clip in Snow Kingdom, and 1 moon clip in Wooded Kingdom. For the next 4 years, these would be the only 3 moon clips done in runs. But when the moon clip was initially discovered, it was also figured out that the backflip wasn't the only moon clip method. If any given moon is next to a wall, all you technically need to do is build up momentum, throw Cappy, and then tilt the stick right before collecting the moon. Both your positioning and cap throw timing are crucial when it comes to successfully clipping out of bounds, but the only problem is that these two factors differ quite drastically once you get the more complicated moon clips, specifically moon clips that need more than just a backflip and cap throw. So with this knowledge in mind, it was theorized for years that there could be 2 more moon clips added into the any percent route, and both of them took place in Wooded. But after years of people trying, the clips were only able to be done using tech that is only possible in Odyssey's 2-player mode. But in 2021, a player who goes by the name of Rasco79 found out how to bring these moon clips to life. By using a triple jump alongside snapshot mode, which allowed for him to time his cap throw, he was not only able to pull off these 2 moon clips, but he even proved a third one to be possible in Lake Kingdom, which saved 5 seconds over the previous clip, while the other 2 clips saved 10 seconds combined. This meant that there were now 15 seconds Tyrone could save over his 56-55. The only problem here is that these clips were infinitely more arduous in comparison to the others that had been in the run since 2018. Not only did the triple jump make positioning yourself for the clip much more difficult, but the timing of the cap throw for each clip was way tighter. To be precise, both Lake Triple alongside Pipe's clip have a 2-frame window, while Maze clip has a 1-frame window. This equates to 1/30th and 1/60th of a second respectively. Now it was 2023, and Tyrone finally decided that it was time to add these brutal moon clips into the run. But even with 15 seconds of time save factored in, Tyrone wouldn't beat his 56.55 until March of 2023. Around the same time, another trick discovered in 2021 would be added into runs. It was discovered by complete accident that you could just clip straight through this wall in the Snow Kingdom. This saves you the trouble of having to capture all of these Goombas to unlock this moon, effectively allowing you to save upwards of 7 seconds. But since jumping through the wall like this was extremely hard to replicate, players never really thought anything of the trick. That was until a camera setup was found that allowed for the trick to be consistent, and so Tyrone began to implement this into his runs as well. Doing this setup would mean that he wouldn't get the full 7 seconds of time save, but nonetheless, he'd still save upwards of 4 seconds, assuming everything goes right. So with Mario Odyssey becoming both a movement heavy and trick heavy speedrun, the quest for 55 was starting to become more of a reality each and every day. Tyrone would continue to lower the record all the way down to a 56.41, and another player who goes by the name of Mitch would come back from the ashes and beat his world record with a time of 56.28. If there's one thing you should know about Mitch, it's that he has been the only person in the last 5 years who has actually been able to take the world record away from Tyrone. Others have definitely come close, but alas, Mitch has been the only one to do it, and this was one of the 3 instances in which he absolutely demolished Tyrone. A 13-second improvement with no major tricks being added into a run is nothing short of absurd, but with that being said, his recording unfortunately corrupted, so this insane world record never got to be official. This 56.28 would also be the last time Mitch would get the record, that is, at the time of this recording. The record was now less than 30 seconds away from 55, but even at this point, a 56 1x was seeming like the best it was going to get. Through time, Tyrone was eventually able to get a 56.28 of his own, but 55 was still very much out of reach entering 2024. But with the discovery of one more 7-second trick, it was looking like it could just barely be possible. In Metro Kingdom, you're required to fight this boss before entering the daytime section, which then allows for you to get enough moons to move on to the next kingdom. Speedrunners are able to complete this fight in just 2 phases, but in between phase 1 and 2, the fight is essentially an auto-scroller, which leads players to an interesting question. Would it be possible for Mario to exit the arena and have enough downtime to collect a moon before the second phase of the fight is initiated? Well, it turns out that if you do the same inputs of a moon clip right before the Wiggler moves away from the wall, the cap throw you do before taking damage has the same effect as doing the cap throw right before you collect a moon. This effect being that you are pushed straight through the wall. You then have just enough time to collect this moon that we'd otherwise collect in Day Metro before finishing off the fight.
No way. No way. No way. Please. No, it's a easy flat. No! Oh! Oh my god, it's gonna be so close! Oh my god, why? Oh my god! Oh my god, I'm retiring immediately. I don't give a fuck. Oh god, not looking good, guys. Oh no.
It's alright, man. That was fucking insane.
It's 55! It's 55!
Oh my god, it is! Holy shit! What's fucking going on?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
So is this really Mario Odyssey's final minute barrier? Well, if you take a look at the time it took to achieve each minute barrier since sub-hour, you'll start to notice that the breaking of these barriers has started to significantly slow down. If we follow this same pattern, it will be well over 1,000 days or 3 years before we see the game beaten in under 55 minutes. This is also under the assumption that new strategies are discovered, old ones are implemented, and that Tyrone is still actively grinding down this time. It surely is possible that Mitch comes back or that other top players dethrone Tyrone, but even getting to Tyrone's level in the first place is a time-consuming task within itself. Even when we combine the fastest completion of each individual kingdom, which is otherwise known as the community sum of best, the final time comes out to a 55:16. Now I know that the best theoretical time is a 52, which means that breaking another minute barrier is more than possible with enough hard work. But at the same time, matching a run that has been split into hundreds of segments, with each segment being grinded to near perfection, I highly doubt that there will ever be a time where players are within reaching distance of the BTT, especially considering the fact that we have always been at least 2 minutes off of the BTT. So while it would be ridiculous for me to say that this is Mario Odyssey's final minute barrier, it would also be ridiculous for me to say that the breaking of said barrier is possible right now. If we look at Tyrone's 55:59, there actually are a few mistakes scattered throughout the run, with his biggest time loss being 5 seconds in Lake. So with Tyrone's current skill level alongside his current strategies, I would say that a 55:49 would be the god run. If you then look at the community sum of best, there are 2 strategies that aren't in the record. The first strategy is doing this clip in snow without the setup, and the second is a 4-second time save in luncheon. In the record, Tyrone uses these invisible blocks to make it to the other side of the kingdom, but using this mountain, you are able to do 2 slope vaults to get to this moon faster. Unlike the setup list clip, Tyrone among other top runners have been able to pull off slope vaults in their runs, despite it being extremely difficult, but nonetheless, adding both slope vaults alongside the other trick would only bring our god run down to a 55:42. But time and time again, the combined effort of talented players and Mario scientists has allowed for the impossible to come to reality. Or Nintendo releases the Switch 2 with faster load times automatically, giving players a minute of time saving, making this video entirely irrelevant.